In a quiet, dusty village nestled between the green valleys and sunlit plains of eastern Africa lived Amara, a young woman of striking beauty. Her almond-shaped eyes sparkled like the morning dew, her skin glowed with the radiance of the African sun, and her voice carried a melody that seemed to soothe even the angriest heart. Yet, despite her breathtaking beauty, Amara lived a life of struggle and poverty. Amara grew up with little to her name. Her mother, who passed away when she was just a child, had taught her resilience, but the world's hardships always seemed to weigh heavier on her shoulders. During festive seasons, she would sit by the small window of her thatched hut and watch her wealthier neighbors adorn themselves in colorful attire, dancing and laughing under the golden lights of celebration. Each laugh, each glittering necklace, each piece of roasted meat on a neighbor's plate stabbed at her soul like a dagger. Jealousy crept into her heart like an unwelcome guest. She would dream of riches, of being the woman everyone admired, envied, and wanted to know. One day, as she walked through the bustling market square, she overheard two women gossiping. She could have the world at her feet with that face of hers, one woman sneered. True, but beauty without wealth is just a curse, the other replied. Their words echoed in Amara's mind. Her beauty was her only asset, and she was determined to use it. That night, under a sky scattered with a million stars, Amara made her decision. She would leave her village and seek a new life, a life where she could rise above her poverty. Early the next morning, with nothing but a small bundle of clothes and a few coins, she set out on the dusty road toward Kumba village, a place rumored to be brimming with opportunities. Kumba village was unlike anything Amara had ever seen. It was larger, livelier, and filled with people from all walks of life. There were traders yelling out the prices of their goods, children running in the streets, and women carrying baskets of produce on their heads. Amara found a small, dilapidated shop at the edge of the market square. The owner, an elderly man with kind eyes, agreed to rent it to her for a modest price. It was all she could afford, but to Amara, it was her ticket to a new life. She opened a shop selling colorful fabrics, handmade jewelry, and perfumes she crafted using flowers and oils. But business was slow. Days turned into weeks, and the few customers she managed to attract barely covered her rent. One morning, as she sat in her shop, staring at the meager coins she had earned, an idea struck her. She had always known she was beautiful, but she had never considered the power her beauty could wield. Amara began dressing in vibrant fitted dresses that accentuated her curves. She adorned herself with bold necklaces and earrings that sparkled in the sunlight. Her hair was always perfectly styled, and her lips painted a deep, seductive red. When she stepped out of her shop, heads turned. Men, young and old, couldn't help but stare. Word spread quickly about the stunning shopkeeper at the edge of the market. Soon, Amara's shop was buzzing with activity. Men would come, pretending to browse her goods, just to catch a glimpse of her or hear her voice. Some spent lavishly, buying items they didn't need just to impress her. Others lingered, offering to help her carry goods or fix things around her shop. Amara played her role well. She greeted every customer with a warm smile, complimented them, and laughed at their jokes. Her charm was irresistible and her shop flourished. But not everyone in Kumba was pleased with Amara's success. The women of the village watched with growing resentment as their husbands and sons flocked to her shop. Whispers filled the air. "She's using her looks to steal our men's attention," one woman complained. "Who does she think she is, parading around like that?" another added. The women's jealousy soon turned into open hostility. They would pass by her shop without a word, their faces set in scorn. Some even forbade their husbands and sons from visiting her. Despite her thriving business, Amara began to feel the weight of her choices. She had no real friends in the village, and the constant whispers and glares from the women made her feel isolated. At night, in the solitude of her small room above the shop, she would think about her old village and the life she had left behind. Her beauty had brought her success, but it had also made her a target. One day, the tension reached its peak. A group of village women stormed into her shop, accusing her of ruining their homes. "You think you can come here and take over our village with your charms?" one woman shouted. "You've turned our men into fools," another added. Amara, though shaken, stood her ground. "I've done nothing but work hard to build a life for myself," she said, her voice steady. "If your men come here, it's their choice, not mine." But the confrontation left her shaken. She realized she couldn't continue living this way. Amara decided to use her success to mend the rift she had created in the village. She began organizing events at her shop, inviting the women to come and learn skills like jewelry making and fabric design. She offered to sell their handmade goods in her shop, giving them a share of the profits. At first, the women were hesitant, but slowly they began to warm up to her. They saw that beneath her beauty and charm was a woman who had struggled just like them. Over time, Amara's shop became a hub of activity not just for men but for the entire community. The women who had once despised her became her allies, and together they built a thriving business. Amara no longer felt the sting of loneliness. She had found a way to use her gifts not just for herself, but for the betterment of others. Amara's journey was one of transformation. She had left her village as a jealous, envious girl, but in Kumba, she became a woman of strength, resilience, and compassion. The enchantress of Kumba village was no longer just a beautiful face. She was a beacon of hope and a symbol of what could be achieved with determination and kindness.